Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-873-7618. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another excellent edition of the Power Trading Hour. And of course, I knew I was going to forget one thing today, one of many things today, but I will move it around a little bit and just say we're here at the appointed time.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
So we've got options expiration, the most amount of money on options for over 10 years. And generally, that's a pretty good indication that two things is going to happen. One, the short side tends to be wrong, and you're going to close over the previous low of a week ago Wednesday. So if we go back and look at the historical data for, what is that, the 12th? 11th, and find the low, 80% of the time, options on options expiration, you will close higher than that low. That is the 39.2854 level. And, you just have to have a absolutely compelling reason. When that doesn't work, the other 2 times out of 10 it doesn't. Generally, you're maybe 100 or 150 points away from it. There was some kind of rare event that came through and blew the market apart. So you tend to be 80% of the time over that, some maybe a little more. Generally, you're not, like 50 or 100 points above it. Generally, you're just a little bit above it coming into it. So it is one of those things where there's a variety of reasons why it works, but I'm going to say that most times people are bearish and overly so. But options expiration, you need to have a very compelling case to go short during that. Now, is anybody going to go bankrupt on it? No. But it's just, like getting into a land war in Asia, just not a good idea. So anyway, we're looking for that 39.28 low to be exceeded today. Volume is okay, as I said, 7 billion shares. We may see a huge amount of volume into the close. So we really need to wait to the end of the day. But there are some things setting up that could mean that we are going to see a lot of action, and I suspect maybe downtown next week. Some of the additional, what I would call optimism today, is on the Fed. One of the Fed members out there blowing his horn. We can only be glad it's the horn. Anyway, the Fed is now going to be quiet into its next meeting, so we won't hear a lot about them. They won't be out there yakety yak, for a while. At least that's the article I saw today. And it tends to let the wilder interpretations of what the Fed's doing run wild for a little while because they can't go out there and start talking the market up or down. One of the things I did want to get into today is something I talked about, I think a month ago, maybe before Christmas. And a few people brought up that they were in that industry, and that is Camping World. One of the reasons I wanted to bring it up, what is that, CWH, is the giant RV show here in Florida starts, I think, this weekend. But this thing's kind of come way off its highs. no surprise. Let's go back a little bit farther on this and take a look. So you're down about, the last high was 26.15. Today you're 23.77. One of the ways you can start looking at the market is disposable income. At one point, maybe even just a year ago, you could get a RV with maybe 15% down. Even a new one today is going to be 30% down. Some people are asking for 35. Used ones are at least 35 and somewhat going to 40% down. So the easy days of selling RVs is probably over to some extent. We talked, I think, maybe back in October, I started talking about what you wanted to look at to see signs of a recession and whether the Fed's actually starting to do something. Houses, probably not enough. Those are kind of like the last things to go. But the first things to go are sailboats and powerboats and airplanes and RVs. Well, I talked to somebody that's in that business that is around here. They don't show some of the products that or the companies that do go to that show. They just represent them, so they don't have to actually go into it. But they were telling me that they think that that it could be 40% here in another month or two. Some other big issues are how much inventory that somebody like Camping World actually has. I think we brought up an article when I talked about it in the very late fall. But I'm hearing more and more rumors about that. I don't like to short stocks that are $30, and this one is already. But as an indicator of a weakening market, I would keep a very close eye on this. They do have a lot of inventory, and of course, the question is, are you going to find somebody, the bigger fool theory, to buy this RV that will have dubious value if a recession is larger than everybody is talking about it being now? Anyway, kind of an interesting thought out here. Yakety yak, don't talk back. Okay. Anyway, that's a little bit. Anyway, the reason I bring it up is I'm looking at boats and stuff now. I tend to look at boats and planes, everything else, when the world is crying, not when everybody is jumping up and down. And actually, I'm going to look at a boat tomorrow. So I think I'm a little early. I think that there's some significant downside yet to be had on some of these boats. I'm looking for a sailboat. But anyway, we'll see. Now, another question was on hydrogen. We've been talking about how Japan has been very, very fixated on going the hydrogen route instead of the battery route. And we'll talk about that when we return.
Currencies, commodities, and bond markets are as important as ever right now with how they're driving the volatility in equity markets across the globe, which is why it's a great time to try out Teddy Kegstad's Tiger Forex Report. Teddy Kegstad breaks down the Forex markets every Monday using his 30-plus years of experience as a trading veteran of futures, Forex, stocks, and options. Teddy releases his weekly Tiger Forex Report every Monday morning with coverage of all the major currency pairs, including the dollar index, the euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar Swiss, dollar yen, as well as many more, and he also has weekly coverage of the crude oil market and the 30-year T-bonds, as they both influence Forex markets tremendously. When you sign up for the Tiger Forex Report, you also gain instant access to Teddy's 60-minute webinar archive he just hosted, Forex Strategies and Fundamentals, What is Behind the Tiger Forex Report. For all the details and to start your 30-day Tiger Forex Report subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Are you grinding in the market, but seeing little to no return? Or are you a successful trader, simply looking to make your job a little easier? Learn to take the path of least resistance with David White's powerful trading newsletter. David White is an accomplished trader whose deep understanding of technology and the markets allows him to consistently find and share winning trades. Support and resistance define the ranges in which stocks trade. By understanding these trading ranges, David White is able to find the path of least resistance. David White's trading newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, is delivered daily before the markets open to make every trading day an easy win. Visit TFNN.com today and subscribe to David White's Ultimate Trading Newsletter for $119 a month. And try all of our newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Take the path of least resistance at TFNN, educating investors. Are you looking for a way to consistently add winning trades to your portfolio? Tom O'Brien is here to help. Tom O'Brien has been successfully trading markets for over 30 years. A frequent contributor to TD Ameritrade Network and CNBC, Tom O'Brien founded TFNN over 20 years ago to help educate investors just like you. Tom's daily market newsletter, Market Insights, is published every morning when the markets open to give you the competitive informational edge you need to succeed. These newsletters are packed full of Tom's advanced technical analysis and are geared to deliver comprehensive strategies for a successful portfolio. Get Tom O'Brien's newsletter, Market Insights, today and try all of our products and newsletters 30 days risk-free with our money-back guarantee at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
And we've talked a little bit about how basically Europe and the United States are betting the farm on EV batteries, why Japan is betting on hydrogen fuel cells and just hydrogen by itself. And it was kind of interesting to see them. I do see some articles that are very bizarre and that they have missed the fact that Japan has 100,000, maybe 125,000 forklifts running on hydrogen and have since for almost 12, 15 years. So they have a huge background on it. But of course, the thing was it wasn't efficient to actually generate or create hydrogen for a variety of reasons. And some people didn't like that they started with methane and you broke apart and you still got the CO2 and all that. Well, there's a two-pronged approach which made it not very easy to see why the Japanese would do that. They're not stupid. They have a new, or they've had a new for the last year operating nuclear reactor. And that reactor is very different than the ones we have here in the United States or Russia has or the rest of the world. This one does not use water to cool. It uses helium, and it can actually drive that helium to temperatures of somewhere in the 1500 degree level. And by doing that, they can transfer lots of heat directly out of those into smelting iron and aluminum and a lot of other stuff without going to a second form of turning it into electricity and shipping it somewhere. So if you build your smelter close enough to a nuke power plant, apparently you can kind of do that. The other parts of these new designs that they've tested are basically impossible to melt down. They're using small pellets that are ceramically coated that ceramic makes sure that you could never get enough nuclear material close enough to other ones to melt down. You could walk away and leave this thing for a week and it still wouldn't melt down. So they've got several of these different types of technologies coming together. Well, one of the things you do when you can make that much heat into helium is they have a process now for making hydrogen that is amazingly efficient, and does not release any CO2 gases out. So they can have what some people call pink, some people call blue hydrogen. So it would be kind of a zero carbon emission version of that, driven by a nuclear power station, but not the traditional water cooled one. Doesn't matter whether all of it leaked out. You also don't have to run the helium for cooling in these things anything more than a few pressures higher than standard, like I don't know, 3 or 4 times standard sea level pressure, compared to 2,000 pounds or 2,500 pounds of pressure in water cooled reactors. So Japan has now a way and a plant that they have shown that has worked for over a year, that is based on helium cooling and on these new kind of pebbles. Probably the best. I think they actually call them pebble reactors. And they've done everything from walk away and just leave it, try to make it melt down. I think you could actually, if you try hard enough, you could, but they have left it alone for a week, and it never got past 1,500 degrees for the cooling. It'd have to get to about 2,200 degrees to weaken the ceramics that actually surround the nuclear pellets inside. So, the biggest problem we've had with nuclear energy was it was designed and made available because there was a lot of research done on bombs. No one really thought, well, this is kind of close to a bomb, so we can have some real problems here. Now that most of the big problems have been ironed out, Japan is now going to go and be one of the biggest producers of hydrogen, using it in place, and going ahead with fuel cells. Now, why they haven't announced it, many people like me think that they have a better anode cathode that doesn't take rare earths like gold or platinum. There have been some papers out there, but my guess is the next big major announcement is going to be a much better hydrogen fuel cell, but not with the more expensive, hard to get kind of rare earth metals or very expensive things like gold or platinum or the rest. But apparently they have said that they're going to have some kind of statement on that somewhere mid-summer. But at least for the production of hydrogen, the use of hydrogen to melt and smelt iron, steel, aluminum, they're going to all do it from a chain that starts with nuclear energy. So at least they have an idea, but also the confidence is kind of betting the farm. This is not kind of a small bet for Japan. They believe it's going to work. They do have a proven station. So anyway, just a thought out there. I've always thought that there's some big problems with batteries. Most of those problems with batteries come from the huge weight they have. Will they get better? Yeah, they'll slightly get better. But there's nothing wrong with a hydrogen-powered car. And why there haven't been a lot of them out there yet, I think, especially when Japan gets going. Now, in the last year, BMW has signed a deal to kind of cover their bets with both Toyota and Honda, since it really is Japan Inc. on hydrogen and hydrogen fuel cells. 877-927-6648. Got a couple of emails in here. We did actually make a. I said that yesterday. Okay, so I don't need to reset that. I think that's an older question. Okay. Yeah, there have been much better designs. Check out way lower temperatures. Get the helium for the U.S. Maybe that. Yeah. You don't want to put it on the coast. We'll be back in a minute.
If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my Gold Report. The Gold Report is a comprehensive look at the metals sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the Gold Report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, GDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the Gold Report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, for free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Mr. Bill jokes about maybe they'll put the generators above sea level this time in Japan. Of course, making fun of the Fukushima disaster, which is, 12 years in the rearview mirror now. The more interesting thing is that they started Fukushima in 1980. There was a kind of a obelisk up on the hill, maybe about a mile in, and they took the obelisk and they sent it off to the university. But of course, it had a bunch of writing on it that no one understood because it was 800 or 1,000 years ago in a dialect. No one remembered what it was. Well, it had been there when they started building. And you know what the obelisk said? don't build anything from here to the water. Literally, there was a warning sign, but no one knew how to read it there at Fukushima, which is one of the weirdest things, right? I think they didn't have the big slash like we now have with a, somebody that looks like they're breakdancing, put a slash through it. No universal symbols, just a lot of universal characters that no one knew how to read. But it was about 16 years after they started building Fukushima that they found this obelisk that said, don't build here, you're just going to get wiped out at the first tsunami. But it was kind of weird that we do leave clues to the people that come after us, but sometimes we don't make them easy enough to read. 877-927-6648. No, I wasn't looking for this much. I'm looking for a whole lot of movement next week, though. We've got some very good indicators suggesting that maybe something else happens next week. I think it's going to be on earnings, but we'll talk more about that next week. Let's go through what is moving in the church of what's working today. Some of these are earnings, some of these are news. Baidu, a little pop, not much in the way of volume on that one. Duke Energy, a little bit lower. They had some news out this morning, got to $100 and a nickel. Again, it depends on what the end of volume is going to be like today. But with all the options out there, I think we're going to have a lot of volume. We may not have a lot of movement, but we may have a lot of volume. Also out is Ericsson. This did tick lower. And again, this is infrastructure spending, especially in Europe on 5G. They kind of got, front-loaded to a lot of that. But now, of course, with all the problems with everything else happening in Europe, no one's really wanting to throw a lot of money at any problem, much less 5G. Ericsson gapped down on fairly heavy volume today so far. JD. Okay. Yeah, just a little gap higher. They hadn't done much today. After the bell last night, we saw Nordstrom give a warning, and it was down rather significantly on the open this morning, and it is clawed its way back up on some decent volume on the day. I think, again, some of these stocks are just way too short to actually go any lower. You need to have the people squeezed out before the next run can actually happen. Eli Lilly gapped down a bit today. Volume's about the same right now as it was in a full day for the last 3 days. So we're probably going to get significant volume at this new low. You're really trying to get something that's less than maybe 5 or 6 million shares, and you do have that. That's a little over 3 million shares right now, down to 341.58 on the low today. Netflix, of course, hasta la vista, Mr. Hastings, isn't it? Reed Hastings, isn't that his name? I think it is. One of the founders of Netflix. One of the few times you see a CEO leave and a stock actually pops higher. I think there were a few reasons for it. I was talking to one of our subscribers after the bell last night. I said, Netflix seems to be one of the few streamers that has given up on making horrible crap that no one wants to watch. I did have to give high marks for the CEO last fall when he was taking flack for, what's the guy's name now? Dave Chappelle and the guy from England who did the... I'm just having blank. Ricky Gervais. He basically told them all to go pound sand, that he didn't really care anymore what they wanted and wanted to complain about. He said that people really wanted to watch this stuff, and he was kind of tired about everybody telling people what they should want to go see and really didn't. And, of course, we're giving up subscriptions to it. And I one of the rare reasons I thought that at least Netflix is ahead of Disney and some of these other companies that are making just dog after bomb that no one wants to see. The world is now littered with a ton of projects I don't think anybody is going to want to see. They spent a lot of, I think we talked about Disney. I think was it Disney? No, it was HBO that got talked into one of these stupid things. Spent a huge amount of money getting Mindy, what's her doodle? I can't remember her last name. To do a kind of a ripoff of Scooby-Doo with Velma, and I think it's got like 3 or 5% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, these people are making stuff that any sane person would say, you're just nuts. Why are you going to throw all this money into the trash? Anyway, I think the faster these folks turn around and make stuff that people want to watch, quit spending money making a lot of stuff that people are never going to see, the better they're going to be off. And at least, what was it, last September, October, we did get some kind of nice, at least nods of the head from the CEO of Netflix that he wasn't going to be trapped into a bunch of crap that no one wanted to watch. He was going to spend more money, more consistently on projects that were going to pay off. He did kill a ton of projects that had started but hadn't started filming, and that probably is also going to do well for Netflix going forward. 877-927-6648. But yeah, I could probably come up with 100 new series and movies that are not just bad. I mean, these are horrifically bad, insulting to the viewers, and just making people mad. We've talked a lot about how Disney has trashed their Star Wars franchise, and now they're on the 5th reshoot for the Raiders of the Lost, the last would-be Raiders of the Lost Ark movie, to try to make it something that everybody just isn't going to get pitchforks and go after them on. Little bounce on Disney today. I don't know if they can, it sounds like the best that this latest Raiders Ark movie that they've spent over $200 million on, maybe they can get half of that back or part of it. Anyway, we'll be back in a minute.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, for free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
And as we come back, I was just looking at Velma here. I was going to say there's hundreds of these things. If you just go through Rotten Tomatoes, where Velma's getting 6% on audience score, and the budget for these things are over $100 million. And you got to go, I think you'd be better off giving $1 million to 100 people, and you'd probably get something that did better than the one thing that you gave 100 million to. But I mean, there are hundreds. As we said, I think in the mid part of last summer, there are 600 English language shows now being produced in Hollywood. Serial shows, scripted shows. There's way too much for everybody to see, and a ton of it, a preponderance of it, I would say, is worthless, and no one is ever going to watch it. So I'm waiting for the giant collapse, the 1929 crash of Hollywood, where they're going to go back and just make stuff that people actually do want to watch. 877-927-6648. TLT. And, of course, we've been bouncing against the top of this gap up from a couple of days ago. Now we're filling it, but we're not filling it with much volume. So the question is, who's telling the truth out here? Is the bonds telling the truth? Is gold telling the truth? Is dollar? My belief is that we're probably going to get into some kind of truth over the next week because the setups are fairly good. I think a lot of what we're seeing today is options related, and way too many people getting short, expecting the end of the world. When everybody else has the same idea you have, it is tough. I wasn't expecting quite this much, which means that probably it's a little better off if you're thinking about going short. Make sure that everybody's done going short. I didn't really see a lot of great risk reward going into today, but certainly there is a lot there. Couple of questions actually, so we'll get to those. Just do the opposite, which was my theory last Thursday when everybody told us it was going to the end of the world. Okay. Other things going on out here. PPG with earnings. Now this, very interesting. I'm hoping this isn't a bad tick out here. I did look at it before the show. I don't think it is. But you got quite the candle out here on PPG. Of course, they make a great deal of many things for automobile manufacturers and repair, windshields, paints, a lot of other stuff. Anyway, to get down to below 126 and be up, in the 131 area today is fairly interesting. They're giving just a little bit back, but these stocks do kind of act like they are just way too short even when they get bad news. They can't even last for a day. Public storage, this is a good bellwether if you really think we're going to have some kind of significant recession. You want to watch this because it tends to run extremely well right before everything goes to hell in a handbasket. So you can look at that. Schlumberger out this morning. Kind of in line what you had yesterday. Not a bad move, but you really haven't had a lot of energy. I think we're probably going to see a lot of consolidation maybe into the second quarter for crude and other stocks as we go forward. Okay. Okay. I haven't looked at Rivian for a while. Let's take a quick look at that. I see somebody mentioned it. I don't know if they had a question. I don't think so. Yeah, just, this would, if I'd love to see this thing just base out for a while. This may be a good car company for a buyout. I don't know if this is the right price point or not. There aren't a lot of things to buy out. One of the downside is Rivian made its deal with the devil with Ford, and a lot of the running gear comes from Ford. So if you buy it out, maybe you got to be Ford. Hard to tell. Whirlpool, nothing like a washer and dryer or refrigerator, I guess. But, of course, they're not the Whirlpool we knew as kids. You're back down at support, though, in this 148 area. You gapped higher back on the 4th of January. You have gone up to 159.09. You're back down. The low of the day today was 149.28, but you're at 149.29. So there's fairly decent support. The one thing that I take away from today is the incredibly light volume so far. 877-927-6648. Yep. Okay. Got to go. Well, thank you, Basil. I was thinking of you today. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Okay. Let's see what you have out here. We keep just ticking up on light volume. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a little bit of a pullback before the end of the day, but if we don't get any more volume, maybe we, come Monday and Tuesday, we're going to have options rollover. And generally by Wednesday of next week, you start seeing a strong direction after options expiration, especially if we get a lot of people to squeeze out today. We might have a final setup to go back and retest the 3650 area on the S&P cash. Again, I just don't see a lot of clear signals one way or the other. Let's take a quick look at the SPYs. I didn't look and see how much volume was in those today. Again, a great deal of what I think is going on today is options related, and probably far too many people being far too short. You got a little bit higher today. Not much in the way of volume, though, either. I saw a lot of discussion about someone saying that you should buy Alcoa. It did gap down on earnings. You've got, again, kind of at least a inclusion of yesterday's candle, not the wick. Volume yesterday on the downside was 12.1 million shares. Today, you're up on 4.4. So not a lot there either. Anyway, we're going to break. We'll be back to wrap up the show.
If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And we've got some discussions going on in the den, which are kind of interesting. I always try to figure out how much I think I'm positive or negative on a particular trade. And generally, anytime I think I'm more than 80% right, I'm wrong. So there's that overconfidence level. Generally, if I'm a little bit nervous about a particular trade, it seems to do better. I seem to do better. Seems to me like there's probably not a lot of free money in the stock market. There's certainly, if it's actual real money, there aren't a lot of people just wandering by trying to shove it in your pocket. There is kind of a cost. It's either going to be a financial one or a mental one to go through it. A lot of times it's because you're early or late on a trade and you have to sweat it for a while if you're going to win. So, interesting things. 877-927-6648. Well, we're done really here for the day. Tom, going to wrap up the rest of the show here. Let's go back and just take a quick look. With all this is, if you missed the beginning of the show, the biggest options expiration for dollar amount for over 10 years. So, in fact, we had a huge one in December, which I thought was fairly large, much bigger even in this one. And so I'm thinking that you may not want to put as much into today's action as you normally would. As we talked about it, Monday and Tuesday options roll over. A lot of times if you're down 50 points one day, you're up 50 points the next. It's not a lot. Generally, you don't get a trend to set until the Wednesday after. All the putting of options on and off or taken off. Did we look at the volume? We did not, did we? Did not. Okay, we're doing about 8 billion shares. So not a real big day out here. So maybe we're landlocked or in a trading range out here. Maybe we're setting up for a bigger move. I think we are. I think that bigger move maybe comes on Wednesday or Thursday next week with earnings. So when you can, not when you have to. We'll see you tomorrow. No, Monday.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems